Welcome to the Rebelle 5 Shorts. I am going to try and keep these short and to the point. They are just going to be all preliminary demos just to get started on certain tools and also just paper choices, reference images, such as that. And then I will constantly refer back to them during the more advanced demos. Let's get started. In this one, we're going to go over paper, tracing layer image, reference image, color palette from an image, color picker from your reference image, and then also if you want to make your reference image in the grayscale just to study your shapes and how your composition will pan out for you. In the paper, this could also be the canvas. This is what I get when I first open up the actual Rebelle 5. Now, we have a couple of different choices. We could either open up a previous one if it's not in our reference list, and this is what I was working on last. This is the conch shell, and this is the different versions of it. I save Rebelle files as I go, so if we want to open up any one of these and go back to something, we can. And then if it is in your recent, you can just open it up there. And then also, if you want to clear that list, you can, if it gets too many of your older paintings that you're not doing at all anymore. And then if you want, you could start with a new one. And that would be either print, screen, and then your favorites. Now, the print are just all standard sizes of something that you would get printed. Now, some of these are my own, and then the other ones are the default, whether it be the 300 or 200 DPI. Then you could pick which one you want if you have a size that you are already familiar with or that you want to use. Now, in the screen, those are just given sizes for anything like the video and then also web design. If you want to create a custom one of your own, then you just go up here and put in your width and height, and then also what you want to use as your measurement, pixels, centimeters, or inch, and then your DPI is right here in a drop down. Now, I always use 300, and that's kind of important because when you start using your own brushes, especially if you design your own, then whatever DPI you choose is fine, but it might be best to stick with that DPI, only because then your brushes will always be the same percentage, since they are in a percentage, that will be the same percentage of what picture or canvas you're working with. Now, if you want, then you could actually just put in a size, just say 20, and I'll put in 16, and then that would be a 20-inch wide by 16-inch high. But then if I flop it and check portrait, then it'll be a 16 by 20, which would be 16 wide and 20 high. Now, if I want to pick out any of these that are given, or if I want to create my own, if I take this out and back swipe the 10 by 10, if I have a 16 by 20 and I like that size and I want to keep it, then all I have to do is hit the plus mark and it'll put it in right here. Now, if I use a 16 by 20 all the time, and that's one of the more common sizes you use if you want to use it, then all you have to do is click on the star and it'll put it in your favorites, and then there's the 16 by 20 right there. So if you don't use too many different sizes, then what you could do is actually just go straight to your favorites and then just pull out what size you want. Now, if you actually want to choose your paper or canvas, just click on it and then it'll take you in to your choices. I have mine separated out how I use them. And as you can see, the cold pressed handmade with a pure white is what I use all the time. Now here's the pure white right here, which is just 6Fs. And then I have my actual cold pressed paper selected. So if I hit OK, then in this case, I would have a 16 wide by 20 high with the cold press, what would be considered the pure white paper. Now, if I'm going to actually go with the 18 by 12, and we'll use that to do the rest of the demo. And all I have to do is hit OK, and it will generate my 18 by 12 right up here, 18 by 12 at 300 DPI, and then we're ready to go. Okay, we have our 18 by 12 at 300 DPI ready to go. Now, the rest of this demo, keep in mind, it would apply whether it's a canvas or paper. With that in mind, we'll have a couple of choices. If you want to draw from the image or trace from the image, we could do both. just say, for example, you want to trace from it, what we could do is hit File, Import Image, and we're going to use these bananas and pear photo as our reference for the rest of this demo. I click on it. I'll open it up. Now, this you could leave any size you want. You just hit OK if that's the size you want of your bananas and your pear on your canvas. But if you want them bigger, I will just snap it to the corner, grab this corner, snap it to this corner, and then hit OK. And now this would be the size of our bananas and pear for this particular painting. Now, what I would do is actually invert it, put the banana and pears at the very bottom. I've named the layer 1 drawing. And this particular layer, bananas and pear, what I would do is change it to about 50. And that will depend on the colors involved in your photo, whether you could change it anywhere from 30 to 50, as long as you could see the photo, but it's not too dark that you'll actually not be able to see your drawing lines. Now, once we would draw this out, then we could turn this off altogether or just leave it there for further reference, but now it would be there to trace from. Now, if you want to draw from a reference image and freehand draw it, then what we would need to do is go to Window and make sure our reference images right here is checked, that we click on that, and then this panel will open. If we open it up and we want to bring our reference image in, then just click on this right here to import a new reference image. We'll go to that same photograph and click on it. And then now that it's in our reference images, all we have to do is click on it once and it'll open it up. And then now, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so we can see what's going on. Now, they would be ready to go if we want to draw from this. When I do my demos, just quickly, I always keep my reference images on another monitor, and then it maximizes the size I have to work with. Now, if we do this particular photo, maybe we want to actually have a color palette generated from it. All we would have to do is go down here to the color set and click on the hamburger, and then actually just go down to create color set from image file right here. Now we have choices of 4, 9, 16, 25, or 36. Now keep in mind, if you have a fairly monochromatic photo, I'll show you what might happen. If you choose 36, that sounds great. It sounds like it's giving you more colors, but you'll have to answer for yourself, do you need all those colors? If I click on that same image, hit open, here's my palette now of 36 colors, but could be an issue. There's a lot of colors here that are very close together in value, so you actually may even confuse yourself as to what colors to use when you go to paint. Now, if you want to layer it and not do much blending, then you may want a palette like this. But if you're going to do any blending or anything along those lines as far as that, then you may not need that many colors. So if you want to do the same thing, we will go right here, go to create color set, and hit just maybe 9 colors this time. And I'll open up the same picture. Now here's the color palette we have to work from. Now here's the 9 and here's the 36. Again, if you want to just more or less layer your colors with not very much blending, then you could use a color palette such as this and then just use it, and you'll end up with more of a blocky look, which is something you may want. Now, if you want to do some blending or some traditional oil painting or watercolors and let the colors mix a little bit, then you may want this particular palette. Either way, it's your choice, but just consider your options and what you want to end up as an end result. Now, you also may want to just pull colors out of the reference image itself, no matter what you do over here. If you want to do that, I would suggest to click on the pick color here, and then that way, whatever brush you're using over here, I will go to the drawing layer just to be able to use it. Whatever you use as a drawing color brush over here, no matter what you pick, You'll have that brush, but then as soon as you go over your reference image, it will turn into a color picker. Now that's a lot different than if you actually use the color picker up here, because then you'll have to keep swapping back and forth from a color picker to your brush. This way, if you actually just click the color picker here on your reference image panel, then no matter what brush you're using, as soon as you hover over the reference image, it's going to turn into a color picker, and then that's it. That way, you can pick a color, it'll go into your most current color, and then if I pick another color, it'll change it to this one, and then so on. So if I pick whatever color I pick, that is the color I'll be using at that time, and that's a very quick way of using your reference image to pull colors from. Now again, if I actually want to just change this, you'll see that with just the yellows involved and just the grayish cream colored background, if I change this to black and white, you could see that there really isn't too much contrast other than the shadows within this painting. So all the yellows and even the color of the background do not offer very much contrast. So to make this painting more interesting, I would really snap up the shadows and then maybe even exaggerate the highlights a little bit. But again, that's obviously all personal choice. But the grayscale will help you isolate your shapes, and then that way you'll know that if one shape starts running into another, it may get confusing in your final piece. Now, with that all said, this will be the first short, and we'll move on to another one.